And my husband laughed so hard when I told him that. And he said, so basically, you're in therapy, aren't you? You can't control this and you're not going into it with a plan.
Mhm.
And I just need to roll with it as it comes.
We all have our different therapies, right? Yeah. Like maybe it's chickens or gardening or hula or, but yeah, something that challenges you.
Welcome to She Owns It, the podcast for women building businesses and lives on their terms. I'm Krista McAllister, and here we talk about what it really means to own our direction, our decisions, and our life at every stage of our growth. Let's dive in. Hello, I'm joined today with Lauren Fisher, founder of Acumen HR Solutions. Lauren, whenever we get together and we have a conversation, you know it's going to be a good time. It's
It
really
is.
excited to have you here.
Love to be here. I'm super honored.
And I love hearing about when the first seed is planted that causes someone to realize, I'm going to start my own business. Do you remember the moment you knew you wanted to start Acumen HR?
Um, for me, it wasn't like I guess an aha moment that grew, but it was kind of I guess a quiet confidence that grew over my years of doing HR consulting. So when I first started consulting, I worked for a woman who owned her own consulting firm. She took a huge risk on me and made me her VP of consulting and gave me the reins. So I, had to manage the P&L, do marketing, manage the consultants and really manage the business and make mistakes. And so I don't think I realized back then I had any want to start my own business, but I was gaining this confidence in doing it and running a business and I was really enjoying it. Um, and then, really did consider starting my own after being with her for about 5 years. Had an opportunity to work with another firm with women I know and trust and thought about it. But my confidence was like almost there, but not there yet. And I really felt like I had more to learn. I'd only seen one firm and how they do it. So I did join the other firm, the other consulting firm, and it was great because it was like, uh, you know, crap hit the fan. I joined in February of 2020, right? So right before COVID and all the things. So it was a huge blessing in disguise, to join them and navigate through that. I couldn't imagine doing that on my own without a team, a ton of learning and growing there as well. They taught me modeling boundaries and balance, which I am still working on, but they were very good at that too. So working under them was huge. And so, yeah, I didn't realize over time, my entrepreneurial spirit grew working with a bunch of entrepreneurs. I kind of just reached a point where, I loved helping people create their own visions and execute their own visions. And then at some point I'm like, I've got my own. And I had this urge to do it and make it happen. So yeah, it was just kind of a confidence that grew over time to a point that I just really couldn't deny it anymore. I was at a company with great people that were phenomenal, really solid opportunities for me there, and I still kind of wasn't fulfilled. So it was that, I guess, the aha moment of like, you have everything at your fingertips with phenomenal people, and this is still kind of itching at you. So you need to scratch it. So just kind of grew over time, to be honest with you.
You said something that's so contradictory to how I know you. The Lauren that I know is the surest bet out there for anything to get it done, to make it happen. And you said the first woman you worked for took a risk on you.
hmm
Why is that?
Well, I was still really new in consulting, much less running a consulting firm. I had an unusual start out. I've never been in-house HR. So I went straight into it, baptism by fire, HR consulting. So it was like dog years learning and experiencing in industries and leaders and companies just coming at you fast. So that helped, but I did not have the business experience then. I didn't have the HR consulting experience then. I was learning how to sell, how to walk away from business, right? Which is when you're new is hard. You want to like win everything. And then you're realizing, oh, nope, this actually is not a fit for us. So, I was a I was a hustler. I was a single mom at the time with 3 young kids, and so, yeah, she really kind of bet on me and my work ethic and my commitment with her, so, but I guess my competitive drive is what you see, and that's the confidence to be like, "All right, I'm gonna do it if it kills me." So I'm grateful. I'm definitely a learn by doing person, feel it, touch it, so, yeah, skills I didn't know I wanted and I gained from that opportunity.
And you mentioned that as time went on, not just your confidence grew, but the entrepreneurial spirit
Mhm.
grew. Is anyone in your family, any background, any entrepreneurs, or are you first gen?
I definitely have a couple that have entrepreneurial spirits. They're kind of starting more side hustles. I don't have my parents didn't run or start their own business. My grandmother did end up buying a uniform store and sold uniforms, bought it from a lady she worked in. She ran that for a bit. But I hadn't really, other than that, really seen it modeled. I think where I've seen it is my clients. That's honestly, I think, what fed it. So, never really thought about doing business for myself. I was always in the jobs I worked in, I was a ladder climber. I was like, okay, what am I going to need to get to this step, to this step, to this step, to this step? Um, which led me to leave the insurance company I worked for early on to go back to college and finish my degree because I was feeling like a ceiling was on my head. So, no, I was a ladder climber, totally. So, it wasn't until working with entrepreneurs and you see the good, the bad, and the ugly, but it was exciting. It was exciting to me to see what my entrepreneurial flavor might be, compared to some of the folks I worked with. So probably what
And
fed
was
it.
there a time, as you talked about starting your firm, getting things up and going, where you thought, "This is crazy. What am I thinking?"
Yes. I think, when I did give notice that I was leaving, at that point it was it's always difficult, right, to transition out. You always feel like you're gonna disappoint somebody or a company, and like I said, I had tremendous opportunity there. And with that came some very humbling, "But what if we did this and did this?" And, had really awesome opportunities in that business that, and I thought at that point, nothing was gonna stop me from starting my company, what I was doing, I had already incorporated, like, I was very like, "Gotta have a plan, let's go." Business plan was drafted, but there was some serious and compelling offers there that, I paused. So I think that might have been the only time where I was like, "Oh my gosh, maybe I'm not." Like, I'm dumb not to consider this, these opportunities. There's stability there. What they're offering is so much stability, which I was looking at walking away from. Um, so I had that internal battle. You know more than anyone because you and I chatted. You walked me off the ledge of that. I was like, "Oh my gosh, Kristen, what do I do? These are, which I love. You're the best because you don't tell me what to do or tell someone what to do. You asked some super critical questions, one after the next, after the next, after the next, about what I wanted, how I was feeling, where I saw myself, all the things. And I think ultimately that's what gave me a clarity of have that peace inside of like, you know what, stability is not what I'm looking for. Like ladder climbing was not exciting to me anymore. So, yeah, being able to walk away to the scary was like less scary. So that would be the only time where I paused. Other than that, I felt like when I knew, I knew. But other than that, that was like a part where I was like, am I doing the right thing? You know? So,
That's so interesting that you had earlier in your career, it was where's the next rung on the ladder? You're a college athlete, very competitive. How do I get up there faster? And certainly being a single mom, that stability was great. And now it's like your priorities are so different. That drive inside of you and what's motivating you has evolved. What does motivate you at this point? What does the success look like?
um, definitely, yeah, I see it differently. I think I was always a burn the candle from both ends person. No one is gonna work harder than me. That was a sense of pride for me that I had long hours, which,
Mhm.
by the way, no one was putting on me. My boss if anything, they were like, "Pump the brakes," you know? That's just me. That was my drive. That was my, medal that I wore. And I think where that shifted is that doesn't equal success just because 'cause you're working hard. That's not always smart. So now what that looks like is well, I've always looked at profitability as a sign of success, whether I'm an employee or whether I am a business owner now, like a brand new baby business owner. I think when I first joined, the last company I worked for, I tracked all my billable really hard against what I was making, and it was my goal to track as soon as I was a profitable consultant, making sure that I made up what they were paying for me and then some within a short amount of time. So, like, it has always been on my mind, even if I'm not a business owner. So, profitability is a sign of success. So, in my new company, looking to be profitable in terms of, there's ROI in everything I'm doing and investing in. So, I do look at that as a sign of success because that creates more opportunity and sustainability. But, I have this kind of newer idea of I hate to use the word balance because as women are always chasing this work-life balance, which I is different for everybody, but for me, my balance, I guess figuring out my balance, which right now, my kids are all teenagers. I've got one in college, one about to go to college, and he's looking at New York and Chicago. He's breaking my heart trying to leave us. And so I'm very much about trying to be present more. So, yes, working hard, but also being available for my family right now before they all leave me. Um, that's a different sign of success. So, to me, if it's I'm just profitable and I don't have that, that is not successful. I would need both, I think, in order to make this sustainable. So, I'm already looking and adding team members. I added a consultant to my team already, and I'm 2.5 months in. So that's something that I think if I wasn't in that space and I was just focused on profitability, I probably wouldn't have wanted to invest in that, right? But now it's like, no, I need
Mhm.
both. So it makes it a lot easier to get to that point so I can keep that balance, I guess, for me, keep that sanity. Um, so yeah, I guess that's my new success is that I'm keeping that availability. I missed a lot when I was a single mom and hustling. I missed a lot. So I'm trying to really, um, you know, be there now as I can.
And you and I have talked about this. I'm going through the same thing. My son's now a teenager, and you realize they need you a lot more,
Mhm.
not less. As much as they can now pick their clothes, change the clothes, clean up the room when forced to, and do all those things on their own. Everything that they're going through is a whole different ball game, and they're needing us more. And you mentioned something you learned from a couple of the owners was use the word balance, but use the word boundaries.
Mhm.
What are some of those boundaries that you're finding whether we put those boundaries on ourselves because otherwise we will just go, go, go and spend it all, or on your clients, on those around you? What are some boundaries you found have been just game changers for you in order to have success, both profitability and time with your family?
Yeah. I think the biggest one on boundaries is honestly a client fit. So, yeah, we can talk about the nitty-gritty of hours and all of that, but I think at the end of the day, what I am with my clients is a partner. It's a partnership. It's we're both giving and taking from each other. And so it's what I found is doing the work up front of which client's a fit and not a fit of working with, and it has nothing to do with industry, right? It has nothing to do, even with how many employees they have or anything like that. It's really if I'm working with a business owner or an executive, that's a fit. Like our personalities are a fit. Our values are enough of a fit, right? They don't have to be exact, but when I can do that, those boundaries are a lot easier. So being able to walk away from an opportunity where I'm like, this is not going to be a fit, will help with the rest of the boundaries, I think. So setting that boundary, knowing not being desperate to take every opportunity, but being very upfront with a prospect to say, I might not be a fit for you, or knowing that it might stretch me more. Um, than, I'm able to give. So that's one. I think another one is, one thing that my bosses have done, which they are the most effective women you'll meet. They do a lot in a day. I don't know how they get it done. I think I'm just slow at certain things. They're either quick on what they do. They do a lot, but they always stop and eat dinner together. They do. So they're sisters that own the business, super, and they're twins, and they are thick as thieves. They have a lot of dinner. They don't always eat it together, but I mean, there's so many times where they will pause what they're doing. And they're, kids are grown and out of the house. One doesn't have kids, so it's not like, they're needing to take care of the kids, but that's something they've set apart and they eat. And then they might go back to work and do all of that. And that might seem really small to some people, but for me, that's really big. That's a boundary I've noticed they've set. Um, and it doesn't mean they're not working any less hours in the day. It doesn't mean they're not being efficient or responsive. Um, and maybe they don't do it all the time. It's just from my outside, that's what I saw, right? And I wanted to model that as well in other areas. So just making sure you're carving out that time either for yourself or your family to kind of recharge and then you can get right back to it if you need to. So those are just some quick things that I think I picked up from them that I'm like, okay, I could be better there.
And you've had some amazing role models as you talk about where you learned your business acumen from, where you learned how to set those boundaries. You've had some incredible female leaders show that to you, and you yourself are becoming a role model for your kids and those around you. What are some of the things that you think this is, if they look back on growing up and being part of this family, here's what I want them to remember. Regardless of what the reality is, here's what I want them to think of and remember, because you've got demanding jobs. You've got a lot going on, but you always make the time and you're there for them. You're at the cheerleader camps. You're at the games. You've got, it's not even, a balance is out the door, rear view mirror. That's not possible. But with those boundaries, what do you want them to look back and remember and go, okay, my mom was this. This is where I learned it.
Yeah. And yeah, if I really think about that, I want my kids to know that I'm a hard worker, right? But not at the sacrifice of them, right? So, I want them to see me work hard. I want them to see, that when I'm respectful to others and, they'll respect me as well. I want to see me seeking wisdom from other folks, other people, other places, and that I don't have it figured out so that they can do that as well. And that, I value them. So that's what I really had to learn a lot. Not that I had to value my children, I do, but showing them, right? So I can't tell you how many times will there be like, Mom, I need this, Mom, I need that, right? And I'm like on a meeting or on this, and I'm like, "Ugh," like it's so easy to respond so quickly and be like, I don't have time. I don't have, which translates to I don't have time for you, right? So I really want them to not remember those times and remember the times I'm trying to be really intentional and I look at them and I'm like, okay, what did you want to tell me? Like tell me all about it, right? They make fun of me when I try to use their lingo, but I think they secretly love it. I'm like, all right, spill the tea. What's going on, right? When their friends come over, I'm engaged in what's going on. So I'm like, I want them to remember that I'm invested in their lives and, as my business is important, it's not more important than them. And so that's something I'm constantly trying. I'm getting better. I definitely think I'm getting a lot better, but I want them to remember that what I'm doing is for them and not just for, my own success. So hopefully we'll see. We'll ask their therapist in the future how I did.
we'll, we'll find out what they say then.
We'll see. Yeah. I don't know.
And you're always so intentional of spending time with each of them. And when we say each, we're not multiplying this by 1, 2, or 3. What's the total number?
We have 6. My husband and I have 6. Yes, I know. We are the Brady Bunch, as we're often called, right? So I had 3, and he had 3, and then 10 years ago, we came together, so, yeah, 6. We started, they were between about 3 and 8, so it was a lot of soccer games and back to school nights and parent teacher conferences, and then now they're between 13 and 18, so it looks different. They may be driving themselves a lot, but yeah, like you said, there's different needs they need as a teenager now.
If and you're giving them your time. You've got the business that you're up and running, and you're bringing in people. What do you find in the day, week, month that it's your alone time? You mentioned about
Mm,
self-care and, um, you always wanna make time for family. You and I have discussed a lot of, okay, when do we make time for ourselves?
yeah.
And with that kind of a schedule and being the self-proclaimed the hustler and go, 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 have you been able to carve out a time of day or even just a few moments to take a deep breath? How do you recharge?
I do. I do. I am happy to say I am good and consistent on this now, but this was not the case for years and years and years and years. I would say in the past maybe year and a half, I would say I am consistently good at this. So I never considered myself a morning person. Okay. I am the person who's always I'll stay up late and that was my time
Right.
and I'd binge watch a show or whatever just to get me time. Like when the kids are out of my way, husband doesn't need me. But it really, looking back, didn't really recharge me the way I thought it would. So I think it was after I read, we've all probably read the 5 a.m. Club, right? At some point and tried it, right? Are
Yep.
you familiar with that one, right? So
Yes.
I think I read that. I started some of those, rituals of that, which some stuck, some didn't. But what did stick from that is getting up at 5 or 5:30 sometimes now, depending on what my day looks like. I do get up before the rest of the family gets up, and that is my time. So, whether I'm working out, that one's not consistent. I'm going to be real honest on that one, but that's not always what recharges me. But getting up in the morning, I do, a daily devotional. I, do, read my Bible. I do prayer. I do things that kind of ground me of why I'm here, what I need to focus on, what I need to be intentional on. And I do that every morning. And that's my time. And right now, because I've had some weird health issues, I know I've shared with you, I have all these stretches and physical therapy exercises I need to do too that take a while. So after that, I am forced to do again kind of some stretching and different things like that. That takes another like 45 minutes. And I put, some calming music on or whatever that is. So just that in the morning, if I get no other time of the day, which most of the time I do not, that will absolutely change my day for the rest of the day. That's a game changer for me. If for whatever reason I'm not getting that in the morning, which is not often, but right now, like I said, that's my one consistent, I will feel very thrown off for the day. So, um, and I think it's one of those I've told other women, I've told other people, you can't be better for your kids or your husband unless you're good for yourself. And I didn't even live that for so long, right? It's horrible. Just exhausted and tired. And not that I'm not tired now in some days, but that's really how I work on me in the morning, like who I am, my character. Um, and and then I really do feel more energized for the day. So, but yeah, I can only say that for the past like year and a half, that's been a solid. I have been horrible at that the rest of my motherhood.
It's but it work in progress. I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of things that we're doing and we're learning, we're stretching literally stretching our muscles. And can I tell you, Laura, at what point did stretching become a workout? Because I will tell you, I now count 15 minutes of stretching as a workout. I would
Yeah.
have never done that.
It's crazy. I'm like, well, I told you, I mean, we were joking about that before we came on this. Like the perimenopause is real. Like there is a whole shift that happens where, yes, stretching is an exercise now. It absolutely is necessary and needed. And yeah, and it slows you down. I mean, you know me, I'm hyper. I'm like, "Woo." like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's do it a million miles an hour. So if there's something that makes me kind of calm down, that's it. Oh, and then my new one, I didn't tell you about this. You know, I've been wanting them forever. I didn't tell you. I finally got my chickens.
No.
I did.
How many?
I got 6. I got 6. I got 6 because I'm a go big or go home person, which is ridiculous. I probably should have started with 3 or 4, but I have the space for 6. I went all in for 6. So believe it or not, right now, and maybe because I'm in the honeymoon stage of it, that's part of my me time too, is I've got, my lettuce that I planted. I've got my chickens on the side. It's been a little fun. So I'm going out there a couple times a day right now. I mean, like, all right, ladies, how we doing? How we doing? So, yeah, I mean, that's just something for me too that I'm noticing.
Is that why you're not calling me as much? You're out there talking to the chickens instead of me. You got some new girlfriends.
Some new girlfriends. It is, yeah, I'm officially that chicken lady now.
It's amazing. We think that sometimes to recharge and just type A personalities, go-getter hustler personality, that we need to pull back. And I think there are times in our lives where we do need to pull back. I'm definitely in an edit mode right now. You're saying you're in a mode of, no, actually, I just needed to find the right things. I needed some chickens. I
Yeah,
needed a garden. I needed something to tend to. And that's mine. And I get to go do that. And that's calming to me.
it is. And I think which is weird. I know people are like, oh my gosh, lady, you've got 6 kids, a husband, 2 dogs. So you needed 6 chickens in a garden, right? Which I get it. I get it. But for me, it's what I found is activities that slow me down, right? Like I can't rush
Ah.
my garden. And, it's like I'm planting and then I've got this composting thing too. We'll see if that works and trying to, put that on the soil and, I'm subject to the weather. I'm subject to so many things that for this control freak who thinks I've got control over everything, I do not. So, something like the gardening and the chickens is so not out of my control as much as I try to control things. And I think those reminders for me honestly alleviate some stress from me and kind of refocus me on my core is like, you are not in control. And when you try to be is when things go haywire for you and your body's like, don't love this. So yeah, that's why I think it's, you can consider it taking on more, which it absolutely is. I mean, there's chores that come with that, but for me, it's a mindset difference. Um, I mean, even just I'm trying to enjoy like now that I'm getting older, I have, skin facial routines that take a minute before bed. And, I never washed my face when I was young because it was like work and stuff like that. But now I enjoy it's a ritual. It's like before I go to bed, I'm doing my routine and I'm like I'm enjoying it and being present in it. And it feels like a treat versus a chore. So yeah, I don't know, just finding those little moments again of just slowing down and being present, I think. Um, I don't know. It helps me definitely like figure out what's important, prioritize, you know, be focused.
You reminded me of a conversation I was just having with my husband. I had joined a hula group. We do performances, and it's not always as planned out as I like. I want to know exactly what routine, what are we doing, where are we meeting, exactly what costumes are happening when, and I want that a month in advance. Sometimes I get it a few days in advance, and
Yeah.
sometimes we show up and we just figured out. Someone told me, Kristen, you just need to understand this is aloha time and this aloha style, and you just need to get with it. And my husband laughed so hard when I told him that, and he said, so basically, you're in therapy, aren't you?
Yes.
You can't control this, and you're not going into it with a plan. Yes, apparently, this is good therapy. And for me to be in a situation where I cannot control every aspect of it,
Mhm.
and I just need to roll with it as it comes.
Therapy. We
If it
all have our
rains,
different therapies, right? Yeah.
amen.
Like maybe it's chickens or gardening or hula or, but yeah, something that challenges you and, I guess, against maybe something that you struggle with, right? Whether it's planning or being flexible or slowing down or whatever that is. Yeah. I love that. I love the hula. When you told me you did that, I was like, and I've got to see you do it. That was super fun. That
And you can see the challenge I have with it. I love that you said sometimes you just need to pick things that push you outside your comfort zone. They challenge you, and you may not be good at it, but it really helps you focus in and let go of everything else and be present. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's the learning and growing part. I think that's kind of the entrepreneurial spirit that, I've only known you to have, which is great. I've been finding in myself over the years, but it's the willingness to be uncomfortable and step out in uncharted territory and willing to fail and maybe look foolish or I don't know. It's just I think it's that spirit that but that's without doing that, we're not learning, we're not growing. And I think that's what feeds both of us. I know because I've known you for a while and, we love learning. And so, yeah, it just feeds us. I mean, I've had so many challenges that, if I hadn't had them, I wouldn't have gained a new insight or, whatever that is. So, yeah, I don't know. That's why I like hanging out with you and other women who are similar because it gives you more encourages you to step out. Oh, she did that and she survived, right? Okay, you know what? I'll try this one thing I wanted to do, and it's encouraging. It makes you braver.
I love that you call it encouraging. I mean, pushing, prodding, forcing. We could call it any number of things. Thank you for calling it
Right.
encouraging. I appreciate that. Uh, uh, all right, we are going to jump into the lightning round. I'm going to start a sentence and I'm going to have you finish it. Whatever comes to your mind, top of it, doesn't
Okay.
even need to make
Oh,
sense.
all right.
All right, capacity comes from.
Capacity comes from oof. Capacity comes from uh I mean, probably setting that balance and boundaries that I was chatting about earlier. If you don't set those, your capacity will be full the entire time. So, yeah, I think it comes from setting strong boundaries in the beginning, and that way you can decide where you want to push your capacity to be.
It's always easier to ease up on those than to pull them back.
Yes, yes,
100%.
100%.
Freedom is.
Freedom, freedom for me is, uh, doing something that completely aligns with my vision and my values right now. So that's freedom to me. Um, it feels really good.
Ownership is.
Ownership is, um, I mean, for me, I think my first thought with ownership is it goes straight to having a full sense of accountability. So those go hand in hand. So ownership is being 100% accountable for your ideas, your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors, um, owning it. And there's, accountability is not a negative thing, it's a positive thing. I think, yeah, standing behind what you believe and what you think is the right thing to do, owning it and being accountable for it to me.
Wow. One thing I wish more owners knew.
Um, I guess because the space I work in, with employees, and most owners that I work with have employees. I think, um, one thing I'm constantly telling them is, they'll be like, "Well, I don't have business problems. I have people problems." I'm like, "Well, those are business problems." So, I think
Yeah.
so many owners or entrepreneurs, went in to do what they're doing to, build widgets and build the best widgets there are or whatever service that is and not to be an employer per se and but that's what they have to do. And so I think not separating the two, but understanding that, you are in a business that has people and your people problems are your business problems. And if we just embrace them as such. They're a part of strategy and alignment. So yeah, I think if more owners knew that up front, I think instead of kind of bucking it, they would probably embrace it a little bit more. And we can get there, but I think it just kind of helps with their sanity a little bit.
Embrace the people.
Basic.
Right now, I'm owning.
Uh Right now, well, my business. I'm a baby business owner right now. So, couple months in, I'm owning it. I'm literally owning it, the business right now. I'm excited to say I've, billed 2 clients in the first month, 6 clients in the second month, and I've gotten like 5 more referrals in the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, I'm owning this 100%, and realizing I don't have to have I have a 5-year plan that I did, but honestly, it doesn't need to be that, right? We're already going rogue on that. So, yeah, just kind of owning it from a day to day, what's coming in, feeling very blessed and grateful for where I'm at. I mean, not a lot of people get that off the bat when they start. So, yeah, I think I'm owning that with a ton of gratefulness right now.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Lauren. And thanks for joining us on She Owns It. If today sparked a new idea or gave you something to take action on, don't let it sit. Share it, use it, and keep growing. Until next time, keep leading with clarity and confidence. If today's conversation resonated, share this episode with a woman who's building something she cares about deeply. Remember to subscribe and like the episodes that resonate most with you. Until next time, keep owning your choices, your direction, and your definition of success. I'm Krista McAllister. Thank you for listening.